Hello and welcome to Weirdos in the Wild with our co-host, AJ Oxley, paranormal investigator with Beyond This Life Paranormal and multi-generational paranormal enthusiast, and Lynn Tincher, Beyond This Life paranormal investigator, Reiki master, published author, and near-death experiencer. Travel with them, a couple of everyday weirdos on a wild ride to all things paranormal and metaphysical.
From the Ground Up Books and Resources is more than just a place to buy books. We are a center that nourishes the passions of writers, artists, and book lovers alike. Our programs help educate writers and artists. Our holistic items and Reiki services offer a unique opportunity to build individuals from the ground up. Sign up for one of our memberships today and support us and bring our vision to life. 5% of all memberships will go towards prize money for contests and scholarships for our programs. Book donations are always welcome. Visit FromTheGroundUpBooks.com for more information.
Hydra Publications is your one-stop for the best in genre fiction. Secrets and Blood is the debut horror novel from Dewey Hensley. Evangeline Grace, the sheriff in a small town, eastern Kentucky coal mining county, longs to start a new life in another place. However, present and past evils conspire to jeopardize her plans and end the lives of those she loves, including her brother Sheldon, whom she promised to protect. Drugs, feuds, and her beliefs stand in the way of identifying the notorious Highlander in time to live her dream. However, menace reaches from Madison County's past.
Do you struggle with depression, ongoing medical issues, or have you experienced past trauma? If you have, please consider the help of energetic healing. At Dragonfly Pond Holistic Services, we utilize Karuna Reiki, crystals to align and heal chakra function, meditation, and sound healing to address these issues and help you in your healing process. To learn more about energetic healing and how to contact us, visit our website at dragonflypondenergy.com. For those who call in to schedule an appointment, mention this ad and receive $25 off your initial visit.
All right, everybody, welcome back to our latest and greatest. And when I say greatest, hopefully it is, because we got some new equipment. Now, hopefully it sounds a lot better for you. Welcome to Weirdos in the Wild. That's true. There's another voice you guys are hearing tonight. But I'm AJ.
And I'm Lynn.
And Lynn's going to tell you who our special guest is tonight.
Yes, I'm really excited. I've been on her podcast, and now she's returning the favor. But we're with Blaire McDaniel tonight. She is a quantum energy therapist. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Awesome. So we're gonna learn all about what it is that she does, and then all the other weird things that makes Blaire, and we love her so much.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Great. I get started a little bit by telling how Blaire and I met. We met several years ago when I owned Karen's Book Barn down the street from where my bookstore is now that we're recording in, which we're officially announcing now, too, that this is now our official recording studio.
It's the Weirdos in the Wild World headquarters.
That's right. And we have a new soundboard, thanks to Blaire, too, who introduced me to this thing, and new microphones and everything. So we are getting legit in this world. But anyway, to get back to it, Blaire and I met in the bookstore as she was writing a book. I think it was for NaNoWriMo. And we kind of, became friends, talking to each other and helping each other out with our writing careers.
I was not helping you out at all.
Yes, you were.
She was such a supportive part of my baby writer journey. I would fully identify as a writer, although most of my writing these days is just like social media and like copy for my website and stuff. But Lynn was a real integral part of my early writer journey and like me being able to adopt that as an identity. So yeah, if you
Appreciate that.
If you are interested in her writers groups, the one that I went to way back was so awesome. So I'm sure it's only getting better.
Well, I hope so. We got to get them off the ground here in the new store. So hopefully they're beneficial. But anyway, I didn't know at the time the full Blaire that Blaire would become. And so when I was buying the new bookstore here in LaGrange, I found out that she was renting a room in the back of the building that I'm renting in now. And I'm like, wait a minute, I know Blaire. Mm-hmm. And then I found out Blaire is the quantum energy therapist. And in talking to her, we are quite a lot alike in the world of woo-woo, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So it's turned out to be a great partnership to be in the building together, and I think we complement each other really well.
Oh yeah, oh man. When I was here alone for quite a few months, and always wondering who was going to end up at the front. And I was like, can I afford to rent the whole place so that I don't have to have a daycare in the front? And the answer was no. But Lynn came and I was like, oh, thank you. So it was perfect fit.
Yep, and it was nice to circle back around and continue to grow together, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of the path we seem to be on now. So anyway, I'm really thrilled to have her on the show today. So
happy to be here.
Yeah. So if you could tell us a little bit about what quantum energy therapy really is.
Okay, so it's a hard thing to pitch. It's a really hard, like, everybody's like, oh, you got to perfect your elevator pitch if you're going to be in business. And people are like, what is quantum energy therapy? And I'm like, oh God, here we go. How much do you know about energy to begin with, right? Like, there's just a lot of framework that I kind of have to build when I'm talking about what I do. So what I do is I kind of pull people into session with me. During session, we will connect with guides. We'll connect with higher self. I'll connect with the energy body. I'll look at what your blocks are. And when I say blocks, I mean the things that are kind of preventing you from living your most aligned and desired life, right? So I'm kind of helping people heal a wide range of things, but a lot of like codependency patterning, a lot of like lack of self-identity, lack of purpose, lack of meaning. Sometimes physical illness will show up and kind of manifest for us to work on. And the interesting thing is that physical illness and emotional unwellness are a lot of times the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So we have a physical ailment in the body, and it'll be connected to like an energetic theme. It'll be connected to like a chakra flow or like some kind of block in the energy body that will be manifesting in the physical body as sort of the last step in that energetic manifestation process. So my goal is to use energy and spiritual connection to help us heal from our past traumas and to help us get unstuck from the things that are keeping us stuck.
To me, this sounds a lot like Reiki, because I'm a Reiki practitioner. I'm a Reiki master, actually, in 2 different kinds of Reiki. But it sounds like, because Reiki, you're kind of removed from the process a little bit. So it sounds like this really takes that a lot farther.
Yeah. Okay, we talk about this regularly, me and you, and like we're always like, okay, what's the difference between our medicine? Like I will meet Reiki people and they'll be doing one thing, and then I'll meet another Reiki person and they'll be doing like something totally different. And so Reiki in general is just a very like broad spectrum energy healing thing, and I really feel like it's practitioner dependent.
Right.
But the way that we kind of do it, it feels really a lot similar. Right. Yeah. The only thing that I would say is different would be that maybe I'm connecting in like the astral plane or in a different dimension, and you'll have to tell me if this is true or not, because I'm not totally sure. But I feel like Reiki is more of like a energetic. You're pulling the energy into the 3rd dimension, and you're kind of working with it there.
Right.
So yeah, I think that may be the main difference. But again, I feel like I meet Reiki practitioners that are doing something that's very similar to me too. So
right, because I think a Reiki practitioner is more of just the channel. where I think you are actually delving into the energies a lot more. And I know, like you said, all different Reiki practitioners do things differently, and they have different talents, and probably, some are connected more than I am or whatever, but it's like that. And because the only reason I'm bringing it up is because most people have heard of Reiki.
Yeah. It is sort of like a launch
similar
point that I use sometimes. So if somebody's never heard of like energy healing at all, I'll be like, well, have you heard of Reiki? Because Reiki is so widespread and like well known that a lot of times they haven't heard of like energy healing in general, but they have heard of Reiki. And so I can be like, well, it's like Reiki in that blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So, I do use Reiki as that launch point sometimes, but I am getting better at like just explaining how it works, right? Like I'm aligning my consciousness with a different dimension.
We don't do that in Reiki. We just say, bring it.
Yeah.
So how did you get into this?
Oh, that's such an interesting story. So I started my business. It was Informal Mystic. That's my business name. And I started Informal Mystic, and I was doing weddings and funerals and spirituality coaching, because I've always just been really good at like coaching and therapeutic type things. And so I've done that type of stuff my whole life. And so I was like, I'll transition into this like really interesting sort of ceremonial space where I'm guiding people into ceremonial things and helping people access spirituality. And I wanted to make local connections. I was like, business owners are supposed to make local connections. And so I followed this woman. I mean, I hate that word girl. Makes her sound like she's in elementary school. But yeah, so I followed this other healer on Instagram, and we were just getting to know each other. And it was very purely on my end a business connection. I just wanted to connect with her, business to business. We kind of do the same things. Maybe you could refer customers to me. And she was posting some content about guides. And at the time I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so stupid, guides. And I still really don't love the name guides, because it does, I don't know, it almost feels a little gatekeepy to me, or like, I don't know, it just seems a little kitschy still. So I was like, a guide, okay, she got like a guide team. So I was like sort of like making like low key fun of her. And I commented on her post, and I was like, could you explain this concept of guides? Because I automatically have like a lot of resistance to it immediately. And so she gets into my DMs and she's like, well, this is what a guide is. This is how I have this guide connection. And I was like, well, that's really cool. And then she's like, I am offering a guide reading if you would like a guide reading. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, I'll get a guide reading. And it was, I'm rolling my eyes in person. If you could see me, you'd see me rolling my eyes like, I'll get a guide reading. Just to make sure you hear the sarcasm in my voice. But I was like, maybe I'll do it just for this business connection. And so the guide reading was $60. And I was like, okay, guides, if you all want to meet me, find me $60. $60 would be great. And at the time I was selling things from the Goodwill that I bought, like thrifting and flipping and selling stuff online. I'm not doing that anymore, but that's what I was doing at the time, just to make a little bit of extra money. And the first day I sold $60 worth of stuff, and I was like, okay, point proven. The second day of the week, I sold like another $100 worth of stuff. The third day of the week, I got my stimulus check in the mail. The fourth day, my husband got this unexpected PPP or PP. What is it? PPE.
PPE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got this unexpected PPE that was like a lot of money. And the fourth day, I sold 60 more, or the fifth day, I sold $60 more worth of stuff. And I was like, oh my! I got more money in my bank account in 1 week than I ever have in my adult life. And I'm like, oh. Okay, there's something here. There's something
telling you, right?
Yeah, it was like a really beautiful, accessible way to be humbled, right? Like I was this like, oh, guys, okay. And then they're like, dude, quit being so tight. Quit being so resistant to everything. Just open up a little, and you could actually have a very vibrant connection with your guides. And so I was like humbled to the point where I was like, okay, I'm getting this guide reading done because there's something here. And I've tried to recreate that scene, like, okay, guys, if you want me to do this, give me $60. And it hasn't worked since then. So I do want to make sure everyone knows that it doesn't necessarily work like that ever, for me, ever again, probably. But it did that one time. And so when I got this guide reading back, it was just like, it was sort of like this moment in time where this, I don't know, like this, it was like AD, BC and AD, like before the guide reading and after the guide reading. And there was this transcendent truth to it that felt so real. And it felt like home in a way that I had never experienced home. And it just changed my life so much. And I began to really develop a relationship with this person who gave me this beautiful, beautiful guide reading. And eventually we just spent enough time in one another's orbit, and she invited me into an apprenticeship, and I apprenticed with her for 2 years and kind of learned how she did her stuff and modified it and made it work for my specific gifts and talents. And here I am.
Okay.
A few years later.
That's an interesting story.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
So, do you have a... Oh, sorry. Go ahead, AJ.
I was just going to say, so I should maybe ask for some money tonight.
Fingers crossed. I really hope it works. But yeah, I've tried to before,
Doesn't work, huh?
It doesn't. No, it doesn't work like that. I honestly think that if I hadn't been so sarcastic and so incredulous, oh, this will never happen. I'll just be like, sorry, I didn't get the money. And if it hadn't been like that, I'm sure it would have
It's happened to me when we're
Really?
doing our paranormal stuff. I've been smacked in the face.
Yeah. You really do have to have this very detached energy. You have to have you have to be expectationless, right? You have to just come with open hands and be this is what I want. If not, it's totally fine. I'll be fine without it. And that's when the universe is like, ooh, energetic match. And then the rain comes, right? That's the only way I got all of that money in the same week. So yeah, it's really interesting. The timing was just chef kiss. So.
So now that you've had your reading, have you been able to develop an actual relationship with your guides now that you know they're there? I knew the answer to that, but
They're
can you kind of
besties.
explain that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one of the things that a lot of people will come to me to try and develop. People want connection with those unseen realms. They want connection with their guides. And so being able to cultivate that and figure out how I did it is really important for the people that I work with. And mine are just gentle, non-invasive connections. Let's see. So I've got one that feels very much like sister energy. We're the same type of soul, and we were kind of created together in this really beautiful soulmate sister type energy. And she's just always there. She's just always very steady. She's very, she's my chill. She helps me access a level of chill that I can't access by myself. Right. So when I'm struggling to calm down, I'll connect with her and she'll just give me that transcendent peace. I have another guide who's much more earth oriented. And he is the most fun. We just have a lot of fun together. And so, let's see, that doesn't really make any sense, right? I answered it in such a non-accessible way. The way that I connect with them would be, through meditation in the astral plane. And that's how I really met them. That's how I got to feel their energy and learn who they were, learn our soul history, and learn what our work is supposed to look like. I did a lot of that in the astral plane. But now our relationship, I'm so familiar with them that I can feel them as we're moving about the day. I can feel them all the time. And I'm attuned. I have my intuition so attuned that they can just drop little tidbits in. they can drop like little pieces of guidance in, or
Little downloads.
yeah, like little downloads. I'll just get them and I'll be like, oh, I know that wasn't me, right? That feels so much like him, or that feels so much like her.
Right.
So
Can you're talking about the astral plane? Can you kind of explain
Sure.
what that is?
yeah. Oh man. So when I say astral project, what I'm doing is I'm taking my consciousness. I kind of have this process where I will get into a meditative state, get into a lower brain wave than just like a regular beta brain wave when we're like thinking and like doing all the things. And so I'll get into that meditative state. I'll drop my consciousness into the heart chakra, and I'll project my heart chakra from the heart chakra. I'll project my consciousness out into another plane of reality. And so I'm not super like, I don't really know all the time where I'm projecting it. A lot of times I'm just like in a void. And I think that is like a form of dimensional reality that I go to work in, if that makes sense.
Kind of like your room.
Yeah. So the person I apprenticed with, her healing place is like a cave. And she'll go to this cave, and it's the same cave every time. It's the same layout and structure. Sometimes there'll be new stuff there, but it's the same. For me, it's like literally like I'm floating in a void. Like I'm just like in this formless space, and my guides and I go there, and we build little formless or walls like in the formless space. I can choose to go other places. Like if I want to explore a past life, if I want to explore, and when I say past life, I don't necessarily mean like in the linear past. And so I know that there are some people who have started calling them parallel lives because out there time's nonlinear, right? And so if I want to go explore, I could align my consciousness with that life that's kind of keeping me blocked. I can align my consciousness with my future energy and say like, okay, I want to manifest. Let me align my consciousness with this so that I can get into the feel of having what I'm trying to manifest. Basically, consciousness is not as linear or as like boxed in as we've been led to believe. And so it's very fluid. It's very flexible. When you are daydreaming, you're astral projecting, right? When you're imagining things, your consciousness is aligning with another form of reality, right? Just because it's not the physical 3D reality doesn't mean it's less valid or less, like real. Reality's real.
It's all real.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So yeah. That's what I mean when I say astral projection. Any clarifying points? Because sometimes I found that I have been doing this for such a long time that I'm blind to what it's like to not I don't remember what it's like to not know this stuff. So sometimes I'm not great at explaining.
Well, that's why we're here, because
Yeah.
we don't know this stuff, so we have questions.
Question away, please.
When you first started working with your guides, did you like? I know you're talking about being able to feel one as a sisterly, and, and then you have your Earth one that's tied to Earth. But have you ever run into somebody you think might be family?
Yeah. So this is actually something that's been coming up so much lately. And so I'm glad I actually have an opportunity to talk about it, because I'll send people this podcast if this comes up for them. But what I have found is that the self or identity down here in this incarnational plane is different than it is up there, right? And so the way that I feel like consciousness will manifest into this third dimensional incarnated reality is through a fractalization process. And so you've got source consciousness, which is all that there actually is. There's only source consciousness. There's only energy. And energy will take itself and break itself into pieces and animate creations. And so those creations are souls. And so that soul will create lives down here on Earth. And this process has probably taken place multiple times in order to get to the you that is you, right? And so a lot of times when people are like, hey, I want to meet my father, I will go into the energy, I'll go into that projected astral plane, and I'll meet this high dimensional, high vibrational guide energy that says, I incarnated as this person's father. And I will show up as this person's father in session because this person needs some closure, or this person needs to be connected with this in order to like get the healing we're going for. But I also really want to kind of break the confines of identity at this earthly plane. And I want to pull it back up into a higher dimensional, right? Like we all have a higher self. And so the people who have passed on also have a higher self. And so a lot of times I'll be meeting their higher self and they'll be saying like, yeah, let's work with identity. Right? Like the self isn't necessarily always the self. It's not always going to be the self.
Right.
So,
And that really resonates with me. I know I've talked about this on our podcast as well as yours about my near-death experience. And when I was actually out of body, when you're saying that, I'm thinking I was at least going toward my higher self because I understood. And I looked down, I can remember looking down at myself and it was like looking at your pencil. You know, I have to do something with that. You know, I was looking at myself laying in the bed dead or whatever, thinking, I'm not done with her yet. She's got to do this, this, and this, and this. So when you said that, I was like, you know, that was really what it was. I had pulled away from that specific identity and I was something else.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, I got to finish this. So I went back.
I mean, when you have, it absolutely makes sense. When you have that as the backdrop of your reality, and it really informs all of the things that you do. It really flavors your life experience, right? Like you don't have to get so upset about the things that happen to you because you're also someone else. You're also like this higher dimensional, high vibrational being, and you're here to have an experience, right? And so instead of needing certain things to happen or wanting things to be a different way, you can sink into the knowing that you're experiencing the experience you are here to experience. How many times can you say experience in a sentence?
As many times as you need.
Yeah, I think I've done that so many times. I say that word a lot. But I mean, it really does kind of like take the sting out of living. Because there's so much more than this life. There's so much more than just this surface level. So
yeah, I always say it's bigger than that.
Oh yeah, it's bigger. It's like I have a pretty expanded idea of reality, and it's even bigger than that.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah, it'll break. There's no way to conceptualize it. Sometimes I'll get out there so far, and I'll be like, I gotta go back because I don't know what's going on. I can't make human sense of this. So I'll just back to Earth, back to the third dimension, and back where things make sense.
Yeah.
For
your limited mind at this point, right?
Yep. So
when you talk about your guides, for somebody like me who's never experienced this before, do you feel them as almost like they're a physical person? Are they an entity that we don't see, or is it an entity that you can hear? Is it an entity? I mean, as a way, because I mean, listening to it, I guess some people might think your guardian is like a guardian angel almost type of thing. Yeah. So how would you explain it?
Yeah, I want to know this too.
Okay, so I wish that they were like physical and like down here so that I could have the full experience of them, because there's always like a component of our relationship that feels lacking to me, right? Like I can do astral projection all day long, but I will never get like a hug or like the physical sense of them. I'll never smell them, which, there's Claire, what is it? The Claire that smell? Claire Smelliance.
Well, the reason I asked that is because, we're paranormal investigators. We've seen things. Yeah. We've been touched. We have smelled cigar smoke. Okay. We have smelled perfume.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of wondering, is there a way that they, as their guardian, is there a way they communicate with you besides...
Just like in the astral plane?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So synchronicity is such a huge communication tool for guides. So everyone has access to synchronicity.
That's
right?
my 222 that I see all the time. That's synchronicity.
Yeah, mine's 334. I have a little mischievous guide who sends me one off the angel number, because I guess the thing is I'm not angelic. So he's like, why would you get an angel number? Here's 334. So synchronicity is such a communication tool for all of them. And you are experiencing synchronicity whether you like realize it or not, right? Like the main tool of, or the main access point for synchronicity is just awareness and just vision. As far as like feeling them in like human form or like the third dimension, it's more of a awareness. It's more of like a lived experience. And like, so when really weird things happen and you're like seeing your life play out in such a weird, divinely timed way, that's a way that my guides connect with me. Like, okay, for instance, I spent a lot of time working on I have this free event that I do every month. It's an in-person event. I have a lot of, I was spending a lot of time and energy, like making it really good this month. And all of a sudden I wake up on Thursday morning, the morning of the event, and I have strep throat. And to me, it was such divine timing because I had spent so much more time and intention towards it. And then I wake up with strep throat, and it was like I got to like pump the brakes, and my guides were like, okay, let's explore. Like, why would you have manifested strep throat at this point in time when it was so important for you to deliver this one as well as you could? And it was just all a lesson in detachment, you know, like, and just having those weird things, like I'm spending so much time and then I didn't get to do it, and I don't get sick. I don't think I've had to cancel one. I've been doing this for months and months and I've never had to cancel one. So things like that, when your life is playing out in like really weird ways, that would be your guides kind of helping weave things in a way to deepen your awareness. And you know, a lot of it is just assigning your own meaning, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I think that if you want to know your guides, you don't need anyone to know your guides. You can be aware and awake enough to begin crafting your own identity surrounding your guides and your own relationship. And they're there. Like, I know it feels like they aren't. I know that in this low vibrational plane, it feels like we've sort of been abandoned. Like they just dropped us down here and we're like, what the hell? We gotta friggin' live all this time. It sucks down here, guys. But they didn't. They haven't abandoned us. They're always there guiding. They're always there offering love and connection and kindness and hope. And yeah, I don't feel like that answers your question still.
No, I guess that when you were explaining to it was more like it was, I don't even know what the word is.
Intuitive?
Intuitive, yeah.
It's very intuitive. It is very intuitive. And so I always feel like if you can develop your intuition and if you can learn to trust your intuition, you're well on your way, right? Yeah. Like the thing about intuition is that it's not that you don't have intuition. It's that you're not trusting your intuition. You're suppressing that inner voice that's saying, hey, this is a guide connection, or hey, this is divine timing. Yeah. It's so easy to doubt ourselves. And so a lot of my work in helping people connect and getting to know their guides and getting in touch with their intuition is building their confidence.
Right. Because to me, I've always, in talking to people about guides, it's like so-and-so has Michael and he does this. And then I also have Sarah, or then I have a cat. And I'm like, I want that. Yeah. I don't have that, but I do get intuitive hits, and I know that my guides are there. I know they're there. They've helped me tremendously, especially the last year, I think. So I always thought that, there was something wrong with me, that I couldn't connect with them. So in hearing that gives me some hope that I don't have to know this, that I've got a Michael, that they're there. I know they're there, that I don't have to know.
Yeah, you don't have specifics. To know.
Yeah.
You don't have to know. Absolutely not. I think that when you do know, it adds flavor. It adds like more depth to your relationship, but there's no necessity. None of this is a necessity, right? Like we're all here for specific experiences, and some of us are here to have a Michael, and some of us are here to just have that intuitive hit. So I really feel like it's a self-guided experience. If you want to know your guides, if you want that as your life experience, put that into the universe. And then things will align in such a way that you will be met with that, right? You'll meet someone like me. You'll meet someone who does a guide reading. You'll find your way there on your own. You'll learn how to meditate. You'll learn how to astral project. You'll get it.
Yeah.
Right? There's no gatekeeping. It's all accessible. The energy wants to connect. So,
yeah. So we were talking a little bit earlier before the show about some experiences that we've had, how when all of us people get together, we have lots of stories to share. So you're talking about, the astral plane and it kind of leads into a little bit of like the other dimensions and other dimensional beings. Yeah. So we had this interesting thing. I think I'm going to maybe let AJ talk a little bit about how a conversation even got started.
Yeah, so it always surprises me is when I'm out when different social functions and people find out that we do this podcast and we talk about everything that's weird in the world, and they find out that I introduced myself to this lady this weekend because we were talking paranormal, we were talking ghost hunting, and it was even kind of funny. Her friend goes, "You need to talk to her." And she came over and she introduced herself. I introduced myself, and it was almost kind of weird when I went, "Yeah, I'm a paranormal investigator." And it was like, okay.
It's not just ghosts.
I even caught myself even going, "God, that sounded weird."
I talk to my guides, so we're both weird. So we both have our freak flags flying.
So I always say that, in my day job, I'm a ghost hunter, and I like to dabble in Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Okay. This person had a Bigfoot story to tell, and it changed that lady's life. It really did, and I could tell she had an experience. And it was experienced by a very, I won't go into the great detail because I don't know if, I haven't got her permission to tell the story, but it was seen by a small group of people, probably eight or nine people, and they saw a creature walking up the side of a mountain. I was relaying that story in more detail to you all, and then you were like, "Oh yeah, I'm into Bigfoot.
Let's go."
And then you're like, and then you're also like, "Yeah, I saw an alien spacecraft," and I was like, "Oh yeah, here we go.
Those are people."
So that's what Lynn's trying to slide us that way to talk a little bit more other weird stuff. At least, so
because we have an exclusive here, so I got to make sure it gets into the podcast.
Yeah, you better drop the episode before I drop my episode. I haven't even recorded mine.
Never told anybody about this?
Well, I haven't yet. So. I've got a podcast scheduled.
Oh.
With another chick who has had a lot of they're encounters of the fifth kind, which I don't know. I'm not well versed enough in aliens to know, but I think that's just you saw an unidentified object in the sky. But yeah, so I have that scheduled, but I haven't even recorded it. I feel like you all will beat me because it's not even scheduled till after Christmas.
Well, we'll hold it if you want us.
No. This is your all's exclusive. I am here. This is.
Welcome back to Weirdos in the Wild. Before we return to our program, AJ and I would like to take a moment to remember my brother John Tincher, co-founder of Beyond This Life Paranormal, and Alan Oxley, AJ's father. Both passed away just before we recorded our first episode. Each and every episode going forward, from this one on, will be in remembrance of them. Thank you. From the Ground Up Books and Resources is more than just a place to buy books. We are a center that nourishes the passions of writers, artists, and book lovers alike. Our programs help educate writers and artists. Our holistic items and Reiki services offer a unique opportunity to build individuals from the ground up. Sign up for one of our memberships today and support us and bring our vision to life. 5% of all memberships will go towards prize money for contests and scholarships for our programs. Book donations are always welcome. Visit FromTheGroundUpBooks.com for more information.
Hydra Publications is your one stop for the best in genre fiction. Secrets and Blood is the debut horror novel from Dewey Hensley. Evangeline Grace, the sheriff in a small town, eastern Kentucky coal mining county, longs to start a new life in another place. However, present and past evils conspire to jeopardize her plans and end the lives of those she loves, including her brother Sheldon, whom she promised to protect. Drugs, feuds, and her beliefs stand in the way of identifying the notorious Highlander in time to live her dream. However, menace reaches from Madison County's past.
Do you struggle with depression, ongoing medical issues, or have you experienced past trauma? If you have, please consider the help of energetic healing. At Dragonfly Pond Holistic Services, we utilize Karuna Reiki, crystals to align and heal chakra function, meditation, and sound healing to address these issues and help you in your healing process. To learn more about energetic healing and how to contact us, visit our website at dragonflypondenergy.com. For those who call in to schedule an appointment, mention this ad and receive $25 off your initial visit.
So tell us about this
Okay.
craft or whatever you may say.
Man, there's a lot of backstory here to really deliver. It's a lot of backstory, so I'm gonna try to tell it real fast. Part of the reason I started working with my mentor in this apprenticeship that I did was she was telling the story about how she works with this high dimensional, high vibrational healer, and he's like who taught her how to heal in the astral plane. And so she was watching this show. It's was Stephen Greer, and it was Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. And she is watching this show, and she sees her guide. Vishu is what she calls him, or that's what he identifies himself as. This guide Vishu. She sees him on this show, and she's like, "Oh my freaking gosh! I'm seeing my guide. This is insane. I can't believe that I'm seeing my guide." And they have to pause it, and she has to like take stock, and she's like really like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this." And she's just floored. So then the show keeps going, and then the guy Greer gets up on stage, and he's talking about all these aliens that he works with, and he puts the one that she saw on the projector screen, and he says, "This is," I think he called him Bishu, but he's like, "This is Bishu," and she's like, "What the freaking crap?" Like, he hadn't said the name before that point in the show, so she saw her guide. Then later on, he identifies her guide by basically the same name.
She knows.
Yeah. And she's just like floored, and she's like, "Oh, this is real. This is all real. Oh my God." And, you have those moments where you're just like, "Oh, I wasn't making it up." Right. Like, so that happens to her, and she's like totally bought in now. And she's like, sharing the story, and she's like, "I've been guided by Vishu to like kind of bring us all together. And, I'm working with her in this group, and she's teaching me this first layer of this healing method that we do called Unity." And she's telling me about this thing, and I watched the show, and I'm on board too. And so me and my husband, we're going to take the kids camping, and I'm talking in my little group of weirdo energy healers who believe in aliens, and believe in not only aliens but like alien healers. Like, how weird is that? And I'm like talking on the group, and I'm like, "You guys, I'm gonna vector in an alien tonight. I'm gonna do it. And I'm being silly. I'm being totally silly, because like, what are the chances that I'll actually vector in an alien? And just cutting up. And so I get there at my campsite, and it's in Indiana, and I have no idea where in Indiana I am. And I'm sitting there. And the process of this vectoring is you basically like take your consciousness and your thinking, and you're pushing it out into the universe, and you're saying, anyone who wants to connect with me, who's like good, we want the goodies, not the baddies, but anyone who's here for my highest healing, I'm here to connect. And you just kind of project this out, and you project your solar system, and then you project the earth in the solar system, and then you project the United States, and then you project your state, and then you project your city, and then you project like where you are. And so the entire time I'm projecting, and I'm just being real silly with it, just seeing what it would be like to do it to begin with, and projecting, and I get to Indiana. I'm like, well, I have no idea where in Indiana I am, so I guess this was all for naught. And about 10 minutes later, my husband goes around the camper to pee, and he's like, hang on a second. What is that? Blaire, come here. And so I go around the camper after he had done peeing, and I look at the horizon, and there's 4 green dots just on the horizon. And it was just in a straight line. And I was like, well, I guess it's just like a tower. It's a weird tower. Like, I've never seen a tower that's green before, but that's the only thing I can think of. And so we go and sit back down, and about 5 minutes later we look up, and the tower that was stuck in the ground is floating overhead. And I'm like, what? The tower's there. What's going on? And it's like 4 or 5 green dots, and they're diagonal. And I'm like, what is this? And me and my husband are just like, could it be drones? No, it can't be drones, because it's like, it was close enough to where you could tell it wasn't drones. And could it be a plane? No, it's floating. Could it be a helicopter? No, it's not making any noise. And it was just the most absurd thing. And I'm sitting there. I finally got a picture. Like, I took a picture of it after like 10. I didn't take a video of it, like a dingbat, but finally got a picture of it. And then all of a sudden it just like floats off into the distance. I'm just like, okay, this is real. Once again, it's real. So, yeah.
Another one of those, oh crap, I got to believe in that too, right?
Yeah. So yeah, that would be my alien encounter.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I want one.
I mean, we could go out there, try to do it.
Oh yeah, I'm in.
The Chris McGill down the road with the radio, he loves aliens,
On
so I'm
Crossroads
sure he'd.
Oh.
Yeah, LaGrange.
We're frequent guests on Chris's show. We love Chris and Jamie.
Chris.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my alien experience. And so, okay, as far as aliens go, calling them aliens is kind of weird, since I know them in a different framework. Like, I also work with Vishu, and they are just alternate dimensional beings out there living another existence. And when we call them in, when we vector them in, which is what Greer calls it, when we vector them in, we're basically asking them to lower their vibration so far down that they manifest into our third dimensional physical reality, right? So I don't know if it's actually even like an ethical thing to ask. Like, I'm sure they can make their choice themselves if they want to show up for us or not, but they're such high vibrational beings, and they're going low to show up here. So the way that I work is I go take my consciousness, which lives at the 3D plane, and I project it up. And so I'm meeting them on that higher vibrational plane. So it's just a reversal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so great to have that proof. It's so great to have that evidence for myself, to where I can say I vectored in an alien. But if I can just like detach from the need for physical evidence, I can meet them all day long if I want. And you can too. It's all you have to do is just like learn how to do it. So
when you said in the television show, they actually had was it a picture, a drawing of what this being was
photograph
to look like?
Yeah, in the television show, he actually healed somebody's deafness. This person was deaf. And Vishu came down into the third dimension and like touched the side of his face, and he was healed, cured. So they have it doesn't look like what you would think an alien picture would look like. It's a lot of like light and fractalization and like real weird, like a real weird auric type thing. And I know you're like wanting to, like, I think that when we talk about pictures of aliens, we want to see like the little gray guys.
Yeah. Or
right?
the green
so
ones.
It's not,
Yeah.
gray ones, green ones.
There's, what have we talked about this one before?
Like 50 something.
There's 50 some beings that people believe that, and there's the little gray guys, but then there's the You know,
You
there's
got the
all
Lyrans, you got the Syrians,
all
you
yeah,
got
all
the
shapes and
Andromedans.
sizes and forms.
The
And,
lizard people.
Yes.
you got the reptilians.
Yes.
Yeah. There's lots of that would be like the concept of a starseed. Like there's beings on different planets in different areas of the universe, and the concept, the starseed concept, which sometimes it'll come up in session, but not often. But they will show up as like this identity, and they'll come onto Earth. They'll incarnate their energy, their consciousness into an Earth body, and they'll be living as like a starseed to help Earth ascend. And the problem with that is that a lot of people are like, oh my god, I'm a starseed, I am so cool, and it's like it becomes this like spiritual ego trip, right? So that's probably why it doesn't come up for me very often in session. It comes up when the person can adapt that into their identity without being like, oh, are you a starseed? No, okay, loser, right? So yeah, it can be a little dicey when you start talking about stuff like starseeds, but yeah, it's fun.
Well, you know, and then there's the whole, we were talking about the Bigfoot thing earlier. There are people that believe, if you go into the woo faction of the Bigfoot, that they're interdimensional.
Yeah.
And there's also the people that believe that that's why Chewbacca looks like a Bigfoot, is that, you know, that in Star Wars that
Ooh.
Lucas
Oh, I love that
Lucas
theory.
believed that these Bigfoots were interdimensional, and that Chewbacca was coming to our world through another type
I
of...
love that.
Why not? Because all of the rest of Star Wars is this stuff.
I
If you
know.
know it, you recognize it all through all the Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it also, we talked earlier too about mind speak, and that some people
Okay.
believe that you can have mind speak with these creatures.
I mean, okay, what's the difference between mind speak and astral projection?
Exactly.
It's the same. Well,
Exactly.
The way you were describing it, it sounds exactly like what I do, and it also sounds a lot like what guides do too, right? Like you may have been talking about it when you're like in a trance state or like a real meditative deep state with like your brainwave in like delta or theta or something like that. But when I'm walking, when I'm just doing my daily life, they will drop words and drop phrases into my brain. And so it's not any different. If you want to connect with if you want to connect with an alien, if you want to connect with a starseed or a Bigfoot, you can.
You know, and it's funny too, because we've talked about people that are in our group, and that, you know, I remember John saying he was at the gas pump and he would have voices.
Chatter. Yeah.
Chatter.
Yeah.
Yep. I get that too. And it's a lot of random crap. I sat
And I
down one
kind of
day.
wonder, does that
Yeah.
kind of all come together into
So I think
it
like
or not?
mechanically, yeah.
Okay.
I think mechanically, it's all the same. And what's happening is that we're attuning our consciousness to different dimensions, right? And so the chatter that you guys are talking about, me and Lynn talked about this on my podcast, but I think that ghosts, or do you call them ghosts? Is it okay to call them ghosts? Paranormal activities, or
we call them ghosts.
Yeah.
I call them
Okay.
entities,
Okay. Yeah.
spirits. It just
Okay.
depends on what you want to call them.
yeah. So I think that in the classical sense of a ghost, like as we're talking about ghosts as people who have passed away and their spirit is kind of still manifesting in earth energy. I think that what they are 4-dimensional beings. And I think that if you're getting that chatter, a lot of times what is happening is you're catching that 4-dimensional energy in your 3-dimensional existence. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah.
Because I get those random words too. I sat down one day and just was writing them all down. It was like spaghetti.
You're like your own ghost
Just-
box.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like, what? None of this means anything to me, but I was getting all these. And I'm like, am I just like overhearing conversations maybe
Okay.
around me, or what's going on?
Intuitive, what's coming up for me right now, and it feels like a download or like intuitive hits. And we talked about time earlier. And so like, yeah, of course it's probably, we're carrying over. But I think you're picking up on the time, the wrinkle in time. You're not picking up someone talking to you and saying spaghetti. You're picking up on someone in their time, in that dimension, saying spaghetti. Right? So they're having a lived experience saying the word spaghetti, and you're picking up on it because we're in that energy of them having spaghetti. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's cool. I never thought of it that way because
Yeah.
I just figured I was like surrounded by all these ghosts having their own conversations, and
Yeah,
I was
they're
just getting
having a
random
buffet.
words. Yeah,
No, you're having. I think what's happening is you're having all kinds of. Okay, so I think since you've had a near-death experience, I feel like you can slip along the timeline a lot easier than most people, maybe.
yeah. Sometimes I feel like I'm a big radar.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that what that is you're attuning to a specific time, and that's sort of like a coordinate.
So that may help me kind of
Control
focus.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah.
See, I'm learning all kinds of things
I
today.
am too. Sometimes I'll be talking and then it's just like my body is taken over by whatever wants to say what it is saying. And like, okay, with time, it's so hard for the mind to grasp time. And so a lot of times when I am channeling about time, it's like doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me when I'm saying it. Because I do channel about, oddly enough, I do channel in session about time a lot. I have worked with people who, this is pretty weird. I don't know. This is Weirdos of the Wild, so I think I could probably just say it. I work with a dimensional soul expression called the timekeepers. For some reason, I just keep bringing timekeepers into my energy, and so a lot of timekeepers working with me and around me, and they really, really mess up time for me.
I kind of see time like, that Christmas ribbon candy.
Okay,
Is
yeah.
this.
What is
And then
it?
there's like a line through it.
Jeremy Bear Me. Have you seen The Good Place?
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy Bear Me. Yeah. And then Doctor Who says wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. So yeah, it's not linear. It's not,
No.
It's really a very fun thing. I like to think about it. It's a very fun thing to think about. And it really does. Again, it's that real gentle humbling when you're thinking about time, you're thinking about consciousness and what makes a self. It's like so much that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm staring into the abyss and I can't, I got to come back.
Yeah.
Give me linear time back, please. So yeah.
Yeah, because we're pretty constricted in our thinking, I think.
Yeah.
We need those parameters.
We have to have linear time. If we didn't have linear time, we wouldn't understand what's going on at all. So,
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to come and see you,
okay.
could it be just, you said Lynn's more in attune to certain things than other people are going to be. She keeps telling me I'm more in tune than I believe.
Oh, I'm sure you are. If you have a podcast named Weirdos in the Wild, my suspicion is that you're pretty in tune.
And you see ghosts.
And I see things in people.
And orbs and-
yeah, and they piss me off every time.
Oh, those orbs.
That's
What's the problem with the orbs? Why you mad at
because
the
I didn't
orbs?
believe in them, and then I
Okay.
saw one, and I have to believe in it.
Oh, I hate that obligatory belief.
That's right.
Dick.
I didn't believe it. I saw all this stuff when we caught tapes, and people go, that's an orb, that's a bug, that's dust, that's this. And I saw
This
one, and
was
I was like, damn it. Now,
Well, so I was listening to one of your podcasts, and the person that came on was the rock and roll guy. What was
Keith
his
A.
name?
Keith.
Yeah,
Keith
A.
doesn't believe in them.
Yeah, he was talking about how orbs are like the most difficult thing to quantify, and like they're basically not even a thing.
Yeah.
And so now you have to believe in them because you had that experience.
I did, and it, it pisses me off.
Keith is probably pissed off too.
So-
he's like, great. He's AJ believing in.
Yeah, I know. He probably is. So,
I'm kidding, Keith. I'm sure you're probably not. You're fine.
no, he's probably pissed off.
He's a good guy.
But like, if you've got the average person or somebody who's more in tune, like Lynn, I mean, you have all types of people that come to you.
Yeah, I got all types of people. I have people who are like astral projecting along with me on the table. I had one person after like a long stint of working together. I am doing my thing. I'm in the zone. I place my hands on the crown chakra and I'm like channeling, and I channel and I'm like telling them what I see. I'm doing things in the energy, and this guy, he was just sitting there or laying there receiving, and all of a sudden he goes, who is that? And I'm like, what the, is there someone here? I like open my eyes. I wrench myself back into the third dimension. And I'm like, somebody's in the room with us. And he's like, I have a new guide. It's a new guide. And I was like, oh my gosh, he wasn't seeing a person. He was seeing a guide person. So, yeah, I've got people doing that. I've got people who don't see anything at all. Right. And so the spectrum is welcome to try energy healing as their modality for making progress. And I find that most of the people who come to me really do want to learn how to connect. Right. So that's a part of my medicine just inherently.
Yeah.
So
do you ever physically see stuff? I know you're seeing stuff when you're like in the astral realm or in your mind's eye, so to speak, but do you ever actually get to physically see something?
I don't often put myself in a position to see things, I think. I feel so like niched into like that astral projection quantum energy that I might be seeing things and I'm just not really like attuning to it. Right. So you're talking about how you see like orbs and like you see shadow people. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I can't. You guys got to take me on like a ghost hunt so I can be like, oh, I saw something.
We're going to. We plan to.
We will, yeah, because it would be interesting to see how you connect.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Well, I was actually thinking about it the other day, and okay, so I was listening to the Waverly Hills, and I was like heebie-jeebied a little, and I'm like, oh my gosh, at all of the astral projecting, all of the beings that I've met, it's the ghosts that are like the most creepy to me. I don't know if they're just such a closely related energy that they feel more threatening or what, but I'm never scared. I have, so my male guide that I work with, he walked me through this process of like how to keep yourself safe out there. And he's like, your intention is the most powerful thing in the world. And so he surrounded me with all these beasties and like all these like real dark entities. And he's like, set your intention. And I was like, I don't want to work with anyone that's not serving my highest expression. And all these little beasties just like went just like immediately gone. And he's like, that's how powerful you are. You don't ever have to be afraid of anything because your intention will never be violated. Your free will will never be violated because that's a law of the universe, and the laws of the universe are never broken. And so I am not scared out there, but then I get near something that feels haunted and I'm like, oh my God.
So it's just because you don't know it yet, I think.
Yeah. So I was wondering if I would be able to like calm my ego down enough to get into that trance state, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to be pretty like detached from the self to get into that trance state and to like be able to connect with, high vibrational beings. So yeah, I don't know what's going to be like, but it'll be fun to try.
I just know that was, I keep talking about it over and over again, but when we saw that shadow person, it was me and AJ and my daughter Becca, all three staring it in the face. And it caught us. I mean, we literally had just walked into the building and walked up on stage, and there it was. We didn't have time to like even prepare ourselves. It was just there, and it was not a scary thing. Yeah. I felt like it was just curious. Like these three people walk up and they didn't run away. Or they,
I wonder what the perception of the shadow, like, do they think we're ghosts? Oh, there's a movie.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
There's a movie. It's a Nicole Kidman movie. And like the entire time
The Others?
Yeah.
Yes.
That blew my mind, you guys.
That's a good movie.
Blew my mind.
Yeah.
Well, at Waverly, you're talking about that. Like, if you remember in the podcast, there was a piece where we talk about we ran into the creeper.
Yeah.
And myself and Susan, who is part of Oldham County Paranormal, we're kind of at, like, the creeper is at one end of the hallway, and Susan and I were kind of, all of our group was right there together.
I'm down there by the creeper.
And we're kind of at the other end.
Left you by the creeper.
And I'm like tapping Susan. I'm like, look. And there's these shadow people, and they're just, and it's like they're curious. They're just kind of looking out.
Oh, that's so interesting.
They're going back in, and they're just looking at it like they're like, what are they doing here? Kind of thing.
Yeah. And I even felt that way about the creeper because he just came along the ceiling line. He was on the wall,
but he came along the branding.
Yeah, and
he branded him.
He just stopped and was looking at us.
Yeah,
and that's all he did. So
his name is Bill, and they call him the creeper.
I know.
There was
I don't know
nothing
if he's really
threatening.
Bill.
I mean,
No.
and I don't know. I get that question all the time. Are you scared? Well, I've been startled by things, and but I've never been scared. But then I've never ran into anything that I thought was really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've ran into bad things, but nothing that was bad that I thought was bad being projected towards me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are bad things. Like when I go into the energy, there's attachments and there's, like entities that are here to demonstrate the negative spectrum of duality, right? Like I don't ever want to call anything like evil because ultimately everything is source. Ultimately everything is love. And so anytime you see that, what's happening is you are witnessing the opposite end of that spectrum, of that dualistic spectrum. And so there are things that are like quote unquote evil. And so it's interesting. It's like I don't know how to work my fear because there are things that would probably intend to harm out there. And I haven't really encountered anything that I have felt intimidated by. It's not to say that it'll never happen.
Right.
But yeah, most of the time I think the evil is like overplayed for shock and awe.
I think,
Right.
it's all for TV
that-
movies, right?
That's
Yeah.
what everybody's interested in. They don't care to know that there's a little bunny looking at you.
know.
You know,
Yeah.
they want some gnarly teeth.
They
For
want you to
sure.
be
Evil
possessed
thing.
every episode.
We're not going to talk about that on the air.
Session.
But I was curious because AJ doesn't even know this about the other night. Missy and Haley from our Beyond This Life Paranormal and I were here.
Yeah.
And we had the spirit box going, and we were just kind of talking and stuff. And I have a little toy thing that's the drinking game, the ring drinking game.
Yeah.
You can see it right there. I had taken the rings off the hooks and had them hanging. And I said, if you're here, move one of them.
Ooh.
Well, I see a light that looked like a rubber band just go move and went around it, and it started moving.
Ooh, wow.
And I'm like, oh my God, now I got to believe that too. Yeah. And Missy, I was saying that, and Missy's like, I saw that light go through there. So we both had seen it.
That's crazy.
And it totally freaked me out.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh crap. Now
This place
seeing
is
this
haunted.
So that was kind of cool, but I wasn't afraid of it.
Yeah.
Even that, because it was beautiful. It was just like this little light rubber band, had little light emanating from that, even beyond that, and it just like smoke almost just whisked around it, and it started moving. And I'm like, this, there's so much out there that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
If you're open to see it, it's there.
And I think that we are on the precipice, right? Like, I think that the last 4 years of shit reality has really, like, kind of taken us to a new level of receptivity collectively. So,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing that, you, like I said earlier, I'm telling people I'm a paranormal investigator. And instead of getting that look like you've got three heads, people are like, really? Tell me about it.
Or I've got this experience. Or,
everybody wants to share their experience. Yeah. Me and my, so my mentor's now like my very best friend. And we just always joke because everybody wants to share like a dream with us. And we're like, okay, please just hear me. And I'm like, oh yes, I want to hear your experiences, please. I just love that we are all so curious and we're all just so ready to experience the unknown. I think it's a really beautiful thing. I think this keeps coming up, but it feels like humility, right? Like, what are we? What are we here for? What are we doing? We're floating on a rock in the middle of the universe, the most expansive, eternal, and here we are living lives. And it's just so beautiful that we are able and willing to kind of gaze into the unknown. So it's inspiring. I love it.
Yeah.
I agree. Of course, that gives us something to do and talk about.
That's true.
And
Gives us a podcast.
creates
That's
meaning.
right.
Yeah, it's a meaning is our responsibility to create. I come from like a organized religious background, and they gave me my meaning for years and years and years, and then I left that religious background, and then I was like, oh my God, I don't have any meaning anymore. What do I do? Nihilism. No, I didn't do nihilism. I did it for a little bit, but no nihilism. I realized that it's our responsibility to create meaning. Like, if I want to have a meaningful life, that's up to me. Nobody's
Right.
here to save me from my meaninglessness existence. So yeah, this kind of stuff also adds just this really transcendent meaning too. So
I agree.
Tell us about how, if somebody wants to get a hold of you or come see you, tell us all that information.
okay, cool. So my business name is Informal Mystic. I'm the most active on Instagram and Facebook. You can find me at Informal Mystic on those handles, and I create a lot of free content just for everybody to consume, and education and stuff like that. If you're local to the Oldham County, Lowell area, you can come to my free energy healing event. It's a community event, and it takes place at Valaterra every month. There's just like one day of the month where we do an evening of energy healing from 6 to 8. If you want to work with me virtually, I have lots of in-person clients, lots of virtual clients, both equally effective. You can go to my website, informalmystic.com, and you can book I call it a quantum insight session, and they're just like free sessions, free, I used to call it free energy reading / discovery call, but that felt really wordy. And so I settled on quantum insight session, and it's just a way to kind of get to know me and get to know my medicine, get to figure out how it would work in your life, and ask me questions. Make sure we fit before you dive into like a commitment of working with me. So yeah,
All right.
that'd be how.
Well, great. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
It's fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You know I can do
always
Now you
enjoy
vol-
talking to you.
Now you volunteered to go with us, so we're going to take you. Go.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm so
You want to go
scared, but
Bigfoot
I'm
hunting?
going.
We got that on.
I
the list,
told
too.
if you take me Bigfoot, I'm serious. I love Bigfoot so much that I wrote a short story about Bigfoot. It's called The Mingo County Monster. It's never been published. So,
So,
Well,
like,
I know somebody that can do that.
well, it's a short story. Yeah. You're the
it's
girl.
still published as a
Yeah, I
short
know.
story.
I did. I've submitted it like once, so it's on me that it's not published.
Yeah.
But yeah,
all
I
right.
love Bigfoot. Let's
Well,
go
we're
hunting.
We're going to get you. We're going to get you with us.
Oh, they're gonna get me.
All right.
Beware.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you again for coming.
Yes,
having
thank you.
Yeah.
So, Lynn,
Take us home.
take us home.
All right. We appreciate you listening, everyone, and keep it weird, y'all.
Thank you for joining us at Weirdos in the Wild. Please show us some love and support on our Patreon account at Weirdos in the Wild. Like us on all of our social media. And if you've had an experience you'd like to share with us, visit our site at weirdosinthewild.com. Until next time, keep it weird, y'all.
From the Ground Up Books and Resources is more than just a place to buy books. We are a center that nourishes the passions of writers, artists, and book lovers alike. Our programs help educate writers and artists. Our holistic items and Reiki services offer a unique opportunity to build individuals from the ground up. Sign up for one of our memberships today and support us and bring our vision to life. 5% of all memberships will go towards prize money for contests and scholarships for our programs. Book donations are always welcome. Visit FromTheGroundUpBooks.com for more information.
Hydra Publications is your one stop for the best in genre fiction. Secrets and Blood is the debut horror novel from Dewey Hensley. Evangeline Grace, the sheriff in a small town, eastern Kentucky coal mining county, longs to start a new life in another place. However, present and past evils conspire to jeopardize her plans and end the lives of those she loves, including her brother Sheldon, whom she promised to protect. Drugs, feuds, and her beliefs stand in the way of identifying the notorious Highlander in time to live her dream. However, menace reaches for Madison County's past.
Do you struggle with depression, ongoing medical issues, or have you experienced past trauma? If you have, please consider the help of energetic healing. At Dragonfly Pond Holistic Services, We utilize Karuna Reiki, crystals to align and heal chakra function, meditation, and sound healing to address these issues and help you in your healing process. To learn more about energetic healing and how to contact us, visit our website at dragonflypondenergy.com. For those who call in to schedule an appointment, mention this ad and receive $25 off your initial visit.